remember 50 Shades of Grey? That book came out in 2011. And for a minute there, it dragged BDSM into the mainstream. Every bestseller list, and then eventually every multiplex screen in the country. But here's the thing, over 10 years later, most people still don't actually understand what real power play is. See, that book sold a glossy, dramatic fantasy version, and it left a lot of people with a genuinely wrong picture of what this actually looks like done right. So today, we're going past all of that. We're talking about actual BDSM, actual power dynamics, why so many women are still quietly curious about it, and why almost nobody admits it out loud. And we've got someone in the room, our very own Barbara, who just completed her professional Dom training, real technique, the real philosophy behind holding that role. And she's going to walk us through what she actually learned and why. So let's talk about it. So, Barbara, let's start with the question that I'm sure everyone tuning into this episode is asking. What's the real reason you wanted to learn how to be a Dom? Like what made you take that step?
Actually, I just want to even hold up just a timeout 1 second and want to say this. I just had like a really griefy moment before we started the podcast. So if I'm going to go into tears, I'm just going to go into tears. Just let it go. Like let's flow with it, right? Like it's we're just bringing
Yes.
everything's okay, and I'm here, and it's all good.
All good.
So I just wanted
Absolutely.
to say that, like, it just I might just cry in the middle of what I'm saying, but that's okay.
Great. Love it. Bring it. It's all
So,
welcome
okay.
here.
Okay. And then, so why did I decide to do this? So, well, one of the techniques that I do use in my coaching is dominance with women, because when you establish, personally for me, this is what I know is true for me, is that when I feel really safe and held by someone, I want them to tell me what to do.
Mhm.
And like, I'm like, women want to be told what to do when there is deep trust and safety because they don't want to think. So when that happens in my containers, I'm like, I do the dom roll, and that helps them feel safe with the masculine because it's more of the masculine. It's like the healthy masculine. And then they can go, like, I'll be like, go do this sexy thing with your husband or whatever dare I give them or anything like that. But I will do it in a dominant energy, and they start to recreate their relationship with the dominance, with that masculine inside them. And for me, so I was already doing that in, it's like a partially in my coaching. However, I was like, I want to take this next level because I had recently, like 2 years ago, well, it was like last year was the finalization, but me and my former partner uncoupled. And one of the things that you learn, well, I learned, is that you learn that what the gifts they give you after you leave the relationship. Like I didn't realize this until after I left the relationship, but what had happened was, he was a healthy masculine, and he had that like Dami energy. We were not in a submission dominant relationship. We were not into BDSM in our relationship. However, he still had that in terms of like the energetics. He was like very in charge and present for me all the
Containment.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he brought a lot of containment. I didn't even know what containment was. I never had it as a
Right.
child.
Yeah.
I didn't had no clue. So here, like I had done enough work on myself to attract this man, and I didn't realize that's what it was. But basically, it's this feeling of being like, it was like I was floating in a hammock because like it was like, I'm just like, he's around even if he was physically not around. I could feel his presence around me. I felt more powerful, like people couldn't fuck with me, like, because I knew this man had my back. No matter what it was, no matter where it was, no matter if I'm the one that made a mistake, this person is so there for me, so reliable, so steady, that like he would only make my life better in that sense. And like, we were a team, but he brought that in to where, I always had my own business for like, it's been like, I think probably I want to say like 15, 16 years now being a business owner. And when me and him started dating, my business started to like quadruple. And I never really understood what that was. I was like, oh, it's probably because I'm in a relationship. No, that's not why. It's because now I know it's his presence, his like attention on me, that steadiness. It almost made me feel like I can be disciplined. Like he brought that to me. I never had it in myself, but he activated it in me. So as an entrepreneur, many of us know we're not going to do like, it's very hard. We like a lot of shiny things, right? It's hard to focus during the day, want to do all things all over the place. But having his presence on me during the day, like checking in with me during the day, or like knowing that he's going to be home at this time and we already have a plan for dinner, it got me to have structure in my day, which I made more the best use of my time. Like I optimized my time and it was highly valuable. So when we uncoupled, he took his presence with him. So now I went from being in a hammock feeling to now I'm in free fall. And I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I couldn't figure it out. I just thought it was the grief, but it wasn't. The grief was part of it, but I couldn't even contain the grief. Like even just now, perfect example. I'm like, I'm going through a griefy moment and I'm actually able to do this, right? Like we have this podcast scheduled and I'm like, I'm feeling grief come up, but I'm not canceling the podcast. Before, if something griefy came up for me, I'd be like, well, I can't do anything for the next 4 days because I have to
Yeah.
deal with my tears.
Yeah.
So goodbye, fuck everyone, fuck everything. And so here I am dealing with that. And then little by little, as like I'm coming, like it's like month by month, I'm like, what is going on here? I would spin for hours. Like I would lose time and not realize like I wasn't taking the business seriously anymore. I was being casual with it. At the time, like I think it was like Mama Gina was like, you don't have consistency. And that's when I was like, oh shit. Kurt brought me the
Yeah.
consistency.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't get it until now. So I was like, what I know from the minimal doming that I did do before and like what I was bringing to clients is this is how I get to bring it back into my body, that consistency, that safety with life, that like balancing of the feminine and the masculine, like, the healthy masculine, where it's my presence on my business, on me, doing what I need to do, but also having the feminine of feeling the grief when I need to feel the
Yeah. Yeah.
grief,
Yeah.
but also like, paying bills and, like getting things done and,
Yeah.
taking care of myself. And like it's like the balance of both. It's like the duality of life basically in the healthiest way possible. And I just knew that BDSM, this is where it was going to, this is what's going to teach me, like the advanced trainings. And also it was that, and it was expanding my capacity to hold more
Yeah.
without abandoning myself, because this activating this really super healthy Dom part of me is expanding capacity in itself, because it's going from like hyper controlling to now I'm steady. Before Kurt, I was hyper controlling and I was hyper masculine, which wouldn't like being with him allowed me to be more into my feminine, which got me onto the pleasure path. But then I never realized I didn't have the healthy masculine either. So that's like, this is where I am now, to expand my capacity to hold more, to expand my capacity to feel more and not lose myself and not lose control. Like I am here and showing up for life. Bring what you got. Thank you, goddess. I got me. And that's what BDSM, like when you have like trainers who know what they're doing, that's what my intention was. And I was able to achieve it. And it's making a radical difference in the way I'm showing up for everything.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Okay. I'm so happy that you shared that story and introduced that. And we started with this question because I think most people who are new to BDSM or are just curious about it, the perception, and I had this perception too at one point, was that it's really about control and domination. Like we take the word domination and submissive and that's all we look at. And so I worked in a dungeon in New York City in my 20s
Right.
where clients would come and they would come specifically for a BDSM session with a dominatrix. And at the time when I first walked into that, I was fascinated. I was like, okay, these people want to come in and have some woman like boss them around and like humiliate them. And like that's all I could see. And I think that's part of what the term has embedded in it and what 50 Shades of Grey did a disservice to because it didn't get to the layer you're just talking about, that it's about
Right.
capacity, that a really good dom isn't trying to control you and humiliate you for their own
Oh,
gain. They're providing containment and so that you can completely surrender, so you can soften. It's a good dom is very loving. It's not like the image you have in your mind of what's his name, fucking Gray,
yeah.
being like kind of a dick, frankly, for his own pleasure, right? And she's just getting off on it. That is not the true story, and that's why we're doing this
No,
episode to get
no,
really clear.
no.
So what you're describing is this desire to have more capacity, to have your own back, to create that healthy masculine in yourself so you can stand in your own power. Um, and when BDSM is in a relationship dynamic, when there's more than one person, right? When there's a scene, when you're actually playing with it, that's the interesting thing of it, right? That's the like power
Mm,
play and BDSM are consistently one of the most commonly reported fantasy categories among women, like right
right.
alongside novelty and romance. And for most of us, and you can tell me if this is true for you, it's not because we want some guy being like, get on your knees. We want to feel safe with someone, so held by someone that it feels pleasurable to get on your knees, right? And to like lose control. Because when else do we get to do that?
Exactly. Well, it's the freedom of losing control. So I would say, let's expand this out. I am very big on consent. What is consent? It's permission, right? Like basic, easy to understand, because I know that that word gets thrown around. Think about the world today and how you grew up. We live in a non-consensual world. Think
So true.
about the stuff they put in your water.
Yeah.
Think about like, how like things that you were made to do when you were a kid, when you didn't want to do, things you had to eat, things you had to wear, the school, maybe you didn't want to go to school. I don't even, I could ask, we are not like our lives, we're non, there's no consent in most of the ways that, so I think part of all of that, like what if you understand BDSM and you understand how to use it and how it works, consent is key, right? Like it's permission. So there's something very erotic about handing over. Now you're saying, I'm giving permission to this person to have power over me versus everything else. You've never given permission. No one's asked. You have no sovereignty over your own body, no sovereignty over your erotic field. Like one of the things that I learned, and I talked about this with my mistress and my, what do you call it? Like the mister, the daddy, like the sir,
Yep.
whatever, like the mistress and the master, they had is that you can't be a great dom. Like the greatest doms are the greatest subs because it's like the inverse. They're both the same, right? And for like, people think that the dom has all of the power and the submissive has none. But in reality, if you are doing this correctly, if you really understand the depth of how this dynamic works,
Yeah.
it's almost the opposite. The dom is responsible for leading the scene. It's like theater. Like it's like, somebody will come in and be like, I want you to like spank me or whatever it is, like at the basic, whatever. Like I was a bad girl, I want to be spanked, or
Mhm.
whatever it is. And a scene is created around that. There's a lot that goes into it. There's like, the intake where you get to say, like the sub says their firm yeses and nos gets very clear. It's like, this is where consent gets established. Then the Dom also knows their yeses and nos because they might not always be like willing to deliver everything the sub wants, but there's a negotiation that happens of like, this is yes, no's, safe
Yeah.
words, all of that to create the container, right? So what is that like on your body? Because you're like, wow, someone's asking me and
Yes.
someone's getting very curious. So all of a sudden now it's like the containment starts there, where it's like the safety gets created. And what we know about the body is the more a woman feels safe, the more she can let go and like go into subspace. And what is subspace? And it's like being in drugs, but you're not on drugs. It's
Yeah.
like the most biggest high. Like I can't explain it. It's a incredible. It's like basically like the feeling I think every woman wants to have and is like, why am I not getting this from yoga or Pilates or whatever? Like it's or drugs. It's this feeling of like I am so held, I'm so safe. It's that hammock feeling, but also there's like the sensual aspect. Like I was saying, you're like, it's like you're floating in a hammock. Nothing matters. You have no problems. There's no thoughts in your head. It's like you're underwater, but you could breathe and see the beauty of life. It's a different dimension because
Yeah.
this person has got you and supported you. Like is there for so the Dom is responsible. Like let me go back to saying the Dom is responsible for leading the scene, but they're leading for the submissive's pleasure, right? So the submissive's consent, the submissive's limits, the submissive's well-being, and are what guide everything, right? So the Dom is in charge of the way that I look at it is like I'm in charge. If I'm in the Dom role,
Mhm.
I'm in charge of the scene, but the submissive ultimately has the power over me
Right.
because it is their yes or no that allow that like the scene to move, right? Because it's you're tuning to them. It's like almost like how a parent has to attune to a child before they start to have words and stuff. It's like you are working with that's the care of the Dom. It's not this like aggressive, angry thing. It's actually the scariest Doms are the ones that are the most peaceful and
Yeah.
calm because
It's
you're like,
firm,
wait,
steady, soft. It's
they're
not the
just
loud
like,
voice. It's just the
no, it's
yeah.
the like on your knees now. It's there's did I say you could talk? It's that
Yeah.
it's an energetic, it's an archetype, and it's like, but there's so much safety because the sub knows not only are you fully present for them, you're alert to what's happening around you. Obviously, most of the time, if you're going to do this, I do recommend to do it in private places. If you like, yeah, play parties are great, but if you haven't even started, like hire someone to support you to do this because you don't want to do this. Like, you want to be with the right, like the people who know what they're doing, people who are trained to understand the depth of the power dynamic. But really, it's the sub is the one that has the ultimate power. And because they have the ultimate power, that's where they can go fully free. It's like literally you get to experience what it's like for an hour, 60 minutes, 2 hours to be live in a consensual world as opposed to a non-consensual world.
Yeah.
And it's a radically different thing where it's like everything it has to do with your permission. And you set it up in the beginning so that you don't have to think about it through the scene because you're trusting the Dom enough to create the scene for you. Because what's happening is you really don't want to, like a lot of people come with these ideas of what I want in the scene, but it's not like, I'm always like, you know what? I get this is what you want, and I'll do my best. I'm not here to guarantee anything. Let's follow the arrows. Let's follow the turn on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's about that. Yeah.
what I think is interesting is so when I worked at the dungeon in New York back in the 90s, I was in my 20s and this was new to me. This whole world was this like magical place I fell into by accident and was just fascinated by. And most of the clients that came through there were men, and most of them were very powerful men you would recognize all day long were making massive decisions, rapidly moving large sums of money, like men
Yes.
in power. And they would come here because it was the one place they could take off the tie and the wedding ring and the whatever, and they could just surrender and have this experience of like playing with power dynamics, which is highly erotic in and of itself. Not all
Yeah.
of them had wedding rings, by the way, but some did. And in my 20s, I found it very empowering to be in the Dom role and to play with like my masculine and my ability to hold the container and to be in this dynamic with a man who I know outside of this dungeon is like way more powerful than I am in the world and his, what he can do and move, etc. But in this moment, I'm the one who's setting that for him. And I found that really interesting and empowering and liberating and definitely contribute to my sexual evolution. But fast forward to me now in my 50s, I'm like, I just want to fucking surrender. Like I'm looking for the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah.
experience
It's the
because
opposite.
now I've been making decisions all day long. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a
Right.
mother. Like there's so many things I decide and carry all day long. I want someone else to just like, yeah, use that voice and be like, get on your knees. That
Right.
works. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if you noticed, like in your training or in your experiences now that you've gotten the training, do you see women leaning more towards one side of power play than the other at different ages? Like, is that just my unique experience, or do you see that as a trend?
It's what's interesting is, so it's fascinating that you're saying it's like this is so layered. I think that there's women who are really attracted to the whole, like, there's many of us who are attracted to like the whole BDSM world and the whole BDSM scene, and it's totally fine. It's actually, I think the more people, the better, because again, it goes back to this is where you actually learn about consent. So it's actually fascinating and really what permission is. And on the flip side, it's the letting go. But I think that what happens is with a lot of women, what I see is that it goes back to what I was saying before. You can't really be, what I learned is the better the sub, the better the dom. You can't be a good dom if you're not a good sub.
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of women, what we all struggle with is that we're like brought up in this fucking world in survival model relationships where most of us have not had a healthy masculine archetype in our life, right? So
Sadly.
because we don't have that, we don't feel safe with the masculine, we start to develop our own like toxic inner masculine based on what we see around, right? So we become hyper controlling, hyper like wanting to like just tell everyone what to do and be in charge, but like in from a way of like it's like psycho. Like if you feel crazy, tightness in your body, you're like, you know, you think everything, all the minutiae. So I got to get everything done. Like your busyness is so important. Everything is
Yep.
so important. All the things. There's no
Check.
relaxing. You're
Mm-hmm.
constantly on the go, right? So that's like the unhealthy masculine. And it's like that's the kind of the world we're living in. And women develop that more because they don't feel safe in the masculine. So they're like overly like they're like aggressive and intense. And like that's not healthy masculine either. That's also whether it's a man or a woman, doesn't matter. If that's how you're showing up in your life, you're all out of
Yeah.
you're energetically off.
Yeah.
So they come into these spaces wanting to be the dom. If they're doing the dom training, they're like they want to be the dom. But I'm like, again, it goes back to what I was saying. If you can't surrender into the sub, you're going to have a really hard time
Yeah.
being this dom because the teaching is, can you drop in and trust this person that's the dom? Because you have to have both into your in your body, because how can you really create this experience for a sub if you don't do it?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you've never had it, if you don't know what it is to be in that deep subspace. And what is that deep subspace? It's that deep letting go and feeling it's like I trust life so fucking much. I'm fucking underwater. This is the fucking best. Like, I mean, there's no thinking. It's like, like,
Yeah.
and that is women's biggest fear, to
Yeah.
let go that much. Because what happens if I let go that much? Everything goes to shit.
Yes.
Like they think that like, it's like the world is spinning on its axes without you fucking having to do anything. Like, don't forget that. But like women operate in that way because of the fucking trauma and the toxic masculine inside, because it's just that was the conditioning. So now it's like I can't be in subspace because I got to control and dominate and all the things. And it's like if that's the dom that you want to be, don't even bother.
Yeah.
Like learn how to drop in into the subspace. It is the biggest gift. That's why what the men that you're talking about, the men, the highly successful men, the CEOs, all these dudes who are coming to get like be with a domina, right? That's like what it's the domina. Um, they're so fucking tired of making decisions all day. It doesn't even have,
Yes.
it's not even about sex. Like some
Yeah.
of them will just be like, I want to cuddle.
Yeah.
They
It's
don't,
true.
it's like
Yes.
not about
It's not
penetration.
all super sexualized, but
No,
it is eroticized, and there's power in the erotic, and it's wonderful power. It's not
but
like
that's where
shameful
they
or
get their
anything.
recharge because
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
that hour or 90 minutes, they're
Yeah.
like, I don't have to fucking think about anything.
Yeah. Yes.
And I don't have to think about like the big mergers, the deals, this family, all like, and the thing is,
Yeah, I would have men that would cry. They'd spend their
yes,
time like
yes,
this is their place they come to
because
release
it's safe.
fucking emotion. Yeah, because it's safe. Exactly.
Because it's safe to fucking cry there because you're like, that's the thing. That's the other thing that someone in the Dom role brings is like, there's no judgment. You could say whatever you want to me. I don't care. You want to oink like a pig? Tell me. I don't like, I'm not going to be like, there's anything wrong with you. Like, you like whatever you want to do. Like, I will create the experience as long as it's within my boundaries. And if not, I'll refer you out to someone because if
Yeah.
that's the other thing is that like we all have different styles, but it's you feel so safe to do that because the thing about this space is you can be so in your truth. You could say like there is like the people come and they're like, I can't tell my husband or wife about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like confession, but
Yeah.
like without getting judged, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. Yeah, and this is again why I brought up 50 Shades of Grey and why I wanted to do this
Yeah.
episode because there's so much misinformation, there's so much stigma, there's so much assumption. And I think it's doing a disservice to so many people that could actually benefit from playing with power dynamics in their relationships or with a dom that they hire for this work. Like it's fucking
Mhm.
therapeutic.
It's
And
so
whereas
therapeutic.
totally, and where 50 Shades of Grey created this illusion of like it's this improvised sort of dangerous sexy thing that just like happens, and what you're describing is no, it's a real power exchange that runs on negotiation, explicit consent, lots of communication before anything happens, right? And the dom is carrying the responsibility of building and holding that structure. There's aftercare, there's all these things. This was true when I worked at the dungeon too. You didn't just walk in and have a scene. You'd walk in and we had a 15-minute discussion about your limits, your safe words, your desires. Like all of that was established before you ever walked into like the room where the scene would play out. And so I think what we're going to do a little bit of myth busting like we've been doing in a minute where we'll cover like the biggest misconceptions, but I'm curious if there's anything else that like immediately jumps to mind as a huge misconception that people have about this work that we haven't covered that we want to just like put like highlight right now.
Honestly, I think that people think it's like, latex and
Yeah.
like just like
Yeah.
black leather and like that's not true. I mean, I've done people in sweatpants before.
Yeah.
Like that has nothing to do with anything without makeup, like nothing, no tools or anything like that. But also that it's you might not even get to anything sexual. It
Yeah.
could be sensual, but like until containment is fully established and the Dom is the one that is in tune to that,
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere sexually. And people think, oh, it's going to be like this. Oh, people are going to come in and start whipping you right away. You're out
Right.
of your mind. That is not BDSM. That's not
Yes.
real. You got to
Thank
create
you. Thank you for
containment.
saying that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
want to throw in that like I know when I first shared with people that was doing this work back when the stereotype, the thing that would pop into people's heads all the time was like, well, you must, people who do this must have daddy issues. They must be broken. Something must have happened to them, especially if you want to be submissive. I think that's a
Right.
less so if you're the dom, but definitely if you want to be in subspace, that's an assumption. And that's definitely not my experience, first of all. And also, there's research that contradicts that, right? There's studies I found out of the Netherlands and Australia that compared BDSM practitioners to like general population and
Yeah.
found those who are practicing BDSM have higher levels of well-being, lower levels of neuroticism and anxiety, greater
Yeah.
relationship satisfaction. So it's not pathological like the stereotype assumes. It's just been relegated to like taboo and shame and like so many things that have to do with sexuality in our culture. It's not
Yeah.
well understood, which is why we're talking about it here, because inside of the sensual sisterhood, it's all welcome. There's no judgment, there's permission for all of it. And we want to normalize the fact that your erotic energy is your life force energy. So here's another way to access it, to explore it, right? To push your capacity and to ultimately bring more pleasure and power into your life. So if it's something you've been fantasizing about for a while and feeling sort of guilty or ashamed, or there must be something wrong with me, there is nothing wrong with you. Good for you. Like,
No, there's nothing
bring
wrong for
it.
you. I would say it's less about the X, it's more about your interest in freedom and power and really understanding consent on a deep level in your body and what it's like to give permission, like really give permission in a controlled environment and really understand because again, we live in a non-consensual world. So most of the things that are happening in your day, you didn't consent to the fucking traffic. You didn't consent to no, all like there's so many things that are out of our control. And what's crazy is the mind, the ego, when you have that toxic masculine set in because you're in full protection mode all of the time because you don't know what it's like to be in the safe masculine and the divine masculine,
Mhm.
you're fighting against this non-consensual world because
Yeah.
that's the best you could do. And so this is a place, this is a paradigm shift of like, this is what it's like
Yeah.
to
To live in
actually
this.
have permission, give permission.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. All
Yeah.
right, let's bust a few myths because, as always, there's a lot of things people assume to be true. So let's just blow through a few of them really quickly. I think we already covered the first one, but just to be 100% clear, first myth, BDSM means someone's going to get hurt or it's not consensual. I mean,
I mean, that's not BDSM. If consent is not present from the jump, if there is no intake, if there's no real conversation using your words, and I like forms, specific questions. It is not BDSM, it's abuse. Real BDSM is built on enthusiastic consent, communication, negotiation, and aftercare. Safety is not an afterthought, it is prime and center. If it doesn't exist, get the F out of there. If your body knows, if you are in a situation where you're like, think it's like, and you don't, their consent isn't established and it doesn't feel safe, get out of that
yeah,
situation. It's that's not it.
agreed. And I would just add in my experience, the converse there's actually more explicit conversation around what will happen in the BDSM scene than in like a regular sexual
Yeah.
encounter. Way more
Like
communication.
there's clarity.
Yeah.
Like there's real clarity. Like the Dom is going to care enough to be like, again, they're there for your pleasure, for your experience. Like they're there to cater to you,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
You're saying, here, I'm giving you permission to do this to me. And
Yes,
this is
exactly.
my lot, this is my boundary, this is where my yes and no is. And you also have safe words.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, next one. Wanting to submit means you're weak or damaged. We kind of
I
covered that one too, but
We covered
again,
it, but I wanted to land because I think so many people don't even have this experience in their body of submission is like the experience when you understand subspace, when you're dropping in, it's like I want to give my soul to the maker. Like like I feel like I'm floating in a
yeah,
hammock.
yeah.
Like it is not like because I think what happens is people think submission has to do with the non-consensual submission,
Right, because
like the
that's what
world
we're
we
used
live in.
to in the real world.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So,
there's this is like a whole like dissonance from there, but it's not true. It's often what you're doing is you're choosing trust and
yes,
surrender and letting someone hold the responsibility. You're like, here, you take all the fucking responsibility,
yes,
everything.
yeah.
I'm just gonna sit back and relax and enjoy. And it's incredibly liberating. Like when you get into deep subspace, you could just be lying there for hours after and be
Yes.
like, I feel like I'm under like what just happened?
It's
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. This is
yeah.
not like I even had this when I walked into that dungeon for the first time. I was like,
Yeah.
Is this wrong? Like, is this dangerous? Like, I had this very, I think the same
Yeah.
assumptions that so many people have, which is the opposite of the truth. So that's why we're talking about this. Okay, next one. You need special equipment or training to try any of this.
No, 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 you don't. No, you don't need, you don't need any of it. Like I said before, I've done it in sweatpants with the no
Too.
equipment. It doesn't
Yep.
really matter. You can get creative with, you know, the things around,
Yep.
like the house. Like, I mean, you don't need fancy anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not about
Yeah.
the latex and the whips and the
Yeah.
whatever. It's a power exchange. That's
Yeah.
keep saying about consent and power dynamics. It's not about the cosplay of it. Although if you're into that, go nuts if that makes your
It's
experience better.
fun. Yeah,
It's fun.
totally.
Yeah. Okay. Women who want to dominate or who want to be in a dom role must be controlling, unfeminine, or unable to let a man lead in real life.
Um,
True or false?
Actually, again, actually, many women find the opposite is true. Learning to hold consensual, like learning to consensually hold healthy power can make it easier to soften outside of the scene because they're no longer trying to control everything unconsciously. It's like what I was talking about. Like it actually is about actually finding that healthy inner masculine within you, and healthy inner masculine is not overly controlling, they're not super aggressive, they're not angry, they're steady as fuck. They're
Yes.
like the mountain is not aggressive, the mountain is not, it's just fucking there and it's big and it's like I'm here, you're not gonna fuck with me. That's like that's and every woman has that ability to tap into that part of her. It's the part of her that actually will calm her anxiety, not amp it up.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. So it's, and if you want, it's not about, it's actually, you want to get healthy with understanding what control is. You want to balance your feminine and masculine within you. So it actually is working with you, not against you, which is most of the time our masculine, because we live in a non-consensual world with the toxic masculinity put on us because we're
Yeah.
so fucking, we feel so fucking safe. Like we feel like I used to feel like I didn't feel safe when I was in the safest places. Like
Same.
that's how toxic I go into spaces and I'd be like, where's the exit? Where like I needed
Yeah.
to know where the exit, like I that's what I was fucking like in a social setting where like everything was fine. I would be thinking like nobody would even know the shit that I was thinking when I would be in places because I would feel so fucking unsafe.
Yeah.
Right? And like that's what they're trying to like that's what you're doing. It's the ability to lead
Mhm.
and the ability to surrender aren't opposite. They're complementary skills. A woman can enjoy being dominant in one context and deeply feminine and receptive in the other. And BDSM doesn't define your identity. It's simply one way you may choose to express yourself.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
And the last one is that BDSM is a pathology, a deviation, like, uh, I mean, kink, but kink can mean healthy and unhealthy. So it means something's wrong with you. So if you're wanting BDSM, something's fucked up.
Where is that written? Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, while some people may explore BDSM as a part of healing, like, you know, my style of the way that I do it, like, is like with the generational trauma and like inner child healing and things like that. And the humiliation degree. I mean, it's so good. Like, if even there's a book, Existential Kink, where sadly she just passed away, Carolyn Elliott. She's really had a huge impact on my learning and understanding of all of this. And Freud even talked about it. It's like even before you get into BDSM, it's even like just being real with yourself about like, wait, this is happening in my life and I don't like it, but it continues to happen. It's like maybe there's a part of me that really likes this thing that's happening that I don't want to have happen, you know, and be like, that's where you understand kink. It's like the concept of oh, I don't like it when people spank me, but wait, maybe I do.
Right,
Like,
totally.
don't spank me, wait,
Paradox of
spank
it. Yeah.
me. It's the right, it's the duality, it's the paradox. And like, this is where you expand yourself as a human. This is where you see your wholeness. This is where you have more compassion for other people and their proclivities, and you're not judging them. You're like, oh, you're into that, okay. Instead of, the judgment eats up inside of you. It doesn't
Yes.
do like, so it's just people are curious of understanding themselves better. You don't have to have trauma, but it can be incredibly healing for trauma. It's just one way many they can explore intimacy, trust, power, sensation, play, and connection while like not having to be fucking judged by being like it's like you could ask for what you want and it's safe.
Yeah.
You might not even get it, but it's not because that Dom was judging you. They just were like, that's not in my wheelhouse,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're never, all of your like desires are made right and safe. Like, what's better than that? Like,
Absolutely.
um, it doesn't mean, and you want to know what it's like, feels like to be like, which is what everybody wants. It's a place where you're accepted for your truth.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the point I want to drive home as we wrap this episode up is that hopefully it came through in everything we've said that none of your desires need really permission first. Like you get to want whatever you want. You get to be curious about whatever you're curious about, and you can explore subspace. You can explore being like or you can have no
Right.
interest in any of this. Like there's no right or wrong. It's just what's true for you, and what is true for you today might not be what's true for you tomorrow or an hour from now. So, like the key is to be honest about your desires, to be open, to find other women you can talk about this stuff with, which is why we created the Sensual Sisterhood, by the way. If like this conversation opened up something for you that you've never been able to say out loud, you want to talk more, you want to ask more questions, we talk about this kind of stuff there without shame, without a script, without telling anyone that you should do this or you have to do that.
Right.
Like there's no have to. It's what's true for you. What is desire telling you? It's all good. And that it is maybe the one, perhaps the one place where consent is built into the model, which is so unusual in this
Yeah.
non-consensual world we live in. So worth at least exploring if it's been, in your mind or your heart. Anything else you want to add before we land this plane?
No, I think that if you are curious about, or if you really don't understand what consent is, and I want to just give an example. I do want to give an example of how we've been as a society, especially women, stripped of consent. So while I'm at this retreat, and this is a high level, this is like highest level training of BDSM, I have a roommate there. And the roommate, highly conscious woman, highly successful business, also learning how to become a Dom. I go into the room and into our room, and she's wearing my sweatpants. She's wearing my necklace. And I am like, whoa, what? Like, wait a second. And was like, you got to come outside. We got to talk outside. And she clearly went through my bag to get the sweatpants. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And she said, what do you mean? I'm like, where are we? And she's like, we're at a BDSM retreat. And I'm like, good. Um, what's the number one rule? And she's like looking at me, and I'm like, consent,
Yeah.
consent. I'm like, you did not ask for consent. I did not give you consent to go through my things and take this and wear this and wear the necklace. And it's like, we're friends. We were friends previously. It wasn't like a new friendship, but this is like, we're at this retreat learning this stuff.
Irony.
And it's like mind-boggling how, and it just showed me, wow, because I've been like studying this for a long time, and just shows me how little women have it in their body. Because if you don't have that level of consent, with yourself, with your friends. You don't understand. You're learning about it at the retreat. It just like blew my mind. You know, one of the things I say, like, even if I'm on a date with a man, like the first time, and like they put their hand on me somewhere, and like I learned this now, it's like, and feel free to use this if you're on like dating out there or whatever. You can even practice with your man, you know, today, even if you're with someone for 10 years or 15 years, is when they like the first time, you know, they put their hand, maybe they put their hand on my thigh or like the small of my back, I'll be like, who said you could touch me? And a lot of they'll just like retract and be like, oh, like immediately that's a power thing. And like if I like it, I'll be like, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said you have to ask. You
Yes.
know, and that's like most women will never say anything.
Right. Yeah.
And they will make the man think that, oh yeah, I like that. Or like there's the body wants that body wants to know that you're watching out for it. It's not the neck up thing. It's the body wants to know, like, you got me,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't got me more than you got me.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Like she wants to be a full, like you're gonna have optimum pleasure when this is all a full body, yes.
Yeah.
When you're full
Beautiful.
body, mind, heart, soul, everything is a full body, yes, you're going to have optimum pleasure. So you need to, for yourself, have that consent of your body. And then there's of the auric field too. Even like in elevators, if like people come too close in your space, like I'm like shield up, like the invisible shield, because it's like I don't want people's energy in my auric field. I didn't consent to that, but we walk around, we don't even know that we're doing that. Like
Sure.
that's how deep this shit goes. So if you're interested in understanding this is part of BDSM, as surprising as it is, and it is something that we can provide for you in the Sensual Sisterhood.
Yes. Beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important. It made me immediately flash to so many moments of men putting their hands on me throughout my without consent.
Yes.
It was, I mean, really only recently did it become even a thing that we talked about. Like for years, it was just like, you're crazy for even complaining. So we've advanced, but there's so much more work to do. And this is the time we get to practice it. So thank you, Barbara, so much for sharing your experience and your wisdom on this topic. Thank you for joining us for this episode. And we'll be back next week with more delicious ways to be in your power and your pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.